You knew it was coming eventually. I've been dancing with my poi for long enough now that I've got a top 5 list devoted to my favorite discoveries here. Drex here from Drex Factor Poi, bringing you the love of poi spinning and flow arts to benefit your body and brain, and today I am counting down my top 5 favorite poi dance moves that I've learned over the years. Before we dive in, I just want to give a quick shout out to the friends of the channel. Big thanks to Dark Monk, Flow DNA, Flow Fests, Flow Toys, Juggling Calling, Pyroterra Light Toys, Spinballs, and Ultrapoi for helping to make the videos on this channel possible. You can learn more about all these amazing companies and the work that they're doing to support flow artists like yourself by checking out the links that I've got down in the description of this video. Some of you may have been watching this channel long enough to know that it started off completely devoted to tech spinning, and I did little, if any, dance at all. And then about 5 or so years ago, I took a hard left turn into the dance world and started working on integrating modern dance into my poi spinning. Opinions on the merits of this pivot have been, shall we say, mixed, but I've got to say that over the course of those past 5 years, I have learned an awful lot about how to combine these two arts. And so I thought it was high time to take my penchant for making top 5 lists and channel it into the thing that's dominated my time for so much of the past few years. But first, a few caveats. Among which is that I would be remiss if I didn't note that poi started out as a dance-based art. Maori poi dancers have been doing both group and solo dance pieces now for hundreds of years. The use of poi with dance in the past few years, if anything, has been a return to its roots. But this also brings us to our second caveat. Most of the dance that I know is filtered through the contemporary modern lens that I took classes and performed in. In addition to the Maori style, there are countless other fusion artists out there who've mixed poi with hip-hop, ballet, tricking, and countless other styles. The world of poi dance is huge, and what I'm showing off here should not be seen as an exhaustive list. Just my own personal favorites that I've found in the course of my own work. Finally, you will note that all the B-roll of these tricks is not going to match the footage of me narrating in my studio here. And that's because I am big and my studio is not. So it was just safer to shoot outside. That also means that many of these tricks are difficult to pull off in the comfort of your living room. But if you need to, you can always throw them onto your to-do list for when the weather does warm back up again. Either that or bundle up a lot like I do. Trust me, once you start moving a lot, you won't even notice the cold. So, with all that said, let's dive in. Number 5, the two-step. So, I don't actually use the two-step very often, but I'd be remiss if I didn't include it here. It's been a cornerstone of how my friend Ty Rochford has taught poi dance, and quite frankly, it's something that I should be making more use of as well. The two-step is one of the simplest dance steps out there, and because of its accessibility, it's a great fit for people to get their feet wet with their poi tricks, or perhaps more appropriately, get their feet moving. Whether you're mixing it up with a butterfly, a weave, windmills, or anything else for that matter, two-steps are a great way to combine that trick with footwork and requires very minimal athleticism or even coordination for that matter. Anytime you add a new trick to your toolbox, take a few minutes to try it out with a two-step. See if you can start to get your body comfortable with moving around as you perform it. Sometimes you'll make discoveries that are happy accidents this way. And you know what? Even just taking a few minutes to understand the footwork of a two-step will work wonders to start the process of getting your feet moving. If you take nothing else away from this list, start here. Number 4, Antispin Flower Chaines. So, real talk. This was the first poi dance move I did that people really paid attention to. It came out of a mixture of watching performance videos from Mel and a soft poi boy back in the early aughts, and it wound up being the first poi dance fusion trick that not only consistently got cheers out of my audience, but also that other dancers would compliment me on. The mechanics of it required 2 major components. First, being able to do shane steps around the perimeter of a circle, and the second, to be able to turn back and forth between clockwise and counterclockwise anti-spin flowers in wall playing. Once you have these 2 pieces in place, the full trick actually falls together surprisingly quickly, and the longer you sustain it, the more your audience will go wild for it. Why is that? Well, I think because most people don't train to do rapid turns like this. They tend to be really impressed when they see someone else doing it. Plus which, to many poi spinners, turning with an anti-spin flower just looks like pure alchemy in itself. And if you want an added gold star for this, turn the shane step into a series of PK turns. It's a little harder, but I also think it makes it look a lot more elegant. And speaking of turns, it takes us right into number 3, poi pirouettes. Pirouettes have the distinction of being not only one of the most flexible poi dance tricks, but also one of the most misunderstood. For many poi spinners, and more broadly the general population, a pirouette is just generically any turn that you perform in place. The dance world has a much more specific concept of what this term means, however. A pirouette is a turn that involves taking your momentum up, bringing one foot to the knee of the other leg, and getting up on the tiptoes of the standing leg. It creates a much more pleasing shape and silhouette for the turn. And yes, I'm going to harp on this. Deal with it. Part of the beauty of pirouettes is how they can be combined with a variety of different poi tricks depending on the effect or volume that you're looking for. One great option? Take those anti-spin turns we learned in our Chaines step and put them to work in place rather than traveling. This is a version of the move that's definitely indebted to Mel's early performances. Another version uses an extension or in-spin flower with the pirouette to eat up a huge amount of volume with it. I also love using pirouettes with body tracers, such as vertical snakes. There's something about having the energy from the poi coming straight up under the arms that I feel really helps with the motion of the turn. But the one I love the most is the first one of these that I ever played with, performing the pirouette with the poi in a horizontal plane tied up close to the shoulders. It really feels like the body and the poi become one in this version. And hey, if you're one of those folks that just thinks that any turn is a pirouette, it's really okay. Do work on getting that working leg up though. And if you fall into this category, drop the word pirouette in the comments because you are not alone. Number 2, Tour Jete Fountain. Alright, now we're getting both our poi and our feet flying. This is another one of those tricks I based on something that I saw early in my poi journey. In this case, a video featuring Zan Moore, wherein he leapt through the air while performing waist straps. Now I had just one problem with the way that Zan was doing it. His feet. They're kind of a mess. So I went back to the leaps that I'd learned in my own modern dance training and found to my surprise that a tour jete was a pretty good match for what was going on with the poi. The idea for this is actually pretty simple. The poi are just doing a waist strap, turning around in a full circle. As they're doing that, you kick out each foot one by one as an accent. As soon as I spotted this combination, I started using it all the time. To my detriment, as it turned out. I discovered that when you do a leap with poi, whatever momentum you have in your hands going into the jump gets amplified by the poi. This means you go higher and have more energy in your leap than you would without them. Because of this, I actually injured myself a couple times as I drilled this trick. Be careful with these, especially if you haven't been doing dance your whole life. And that, dear friends, just leaves us with our last poi dance trick. Number 1, Fantastic Four Footwork. So this one is a little bit nebulous, being as how it focuses on the movement of the poi over the movement of the feet. But bear with me. See what I'm doing with my feet as I go back and forth with this one? You can think of this as being a very quick variation on that two-step that we saw back in the number 5 pick. The difference here is that the timing has been shifted from a simple 1, 2, 1, 2 to a step ball change with each shift. And it's here that I have to actually confess something kind of embarrassing. I spent years trying to learn this trick and I could never make it work. Every time I tried, my poi would either miss wrapping around my legs or get tangled up and mangle the trick completely. It turned out, and I hope you will appreciate the irony, I was just putting my wrong foot forward. In the Fantastic Four, you alternate which poi is wrapping around the leg in the direction you want to take your hand in. That means that this leg has to be far enough forward that the poi can wrap around it cleanly. The other leg really doesn't matter. So when you add footwork into the equation, you can get sneaky with it by twisting your feet around, so you switch which leg is in the direction you want to move your hand in. You're basically just flipping the geometry around backwards, but just so long as the leg you're moving toward is further forward than the other, you're golden. And the really cool thing that you can do once you've internalized this? Well, there's no reason that you have to stay in place as this changeover is happening. Literally the first thing I did when I had this down was to use the Fantastic Four with a grapevine step or pas de bourrée. See how it's the exact same footwork, but I'm just traveling to the side? Give this one a shot and see how it treats you. Alright friends, that's 5 of my favorite poi dance tricks for you to learn. And wouldn't you know it, I have tutorials individually for nearly all of these tricks. Link to the playlist is in the description or up in the cards if you're watching this on YouTube. Now get those feet moving and make me proud. Did you get anything out of this video? please make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help other people find the video and, of course, help my channel grow. And I also just wanted to put out a huge thank you because this video would not be possible without the kind contributions of these wonderful folks right here. These are my Flow patrons over on Patreon, and they, along with the wonderful folks listed down in the description, make this video and all the videos on my channel possible. If you would like to help me out in my mission to bring poi spinning and flow arts to the wider world and help people learn to be creative with their bodies, you can do so by heading over to patreon.com/DrexFactorPoi and signing up. You can get early access to all of my content, a say in what topics I tackle in the future, plus some great behind the scenes and extras content. So go check that out. Please and thank you. So like, real talk. This video barely scratched the surface. There are plenty of specialty moves I've learned in the past couple years that didn't make it on here because they're so niche and specific, and others because they fall into other dance styles or require some more advanced poi knowledge to pull off. Would you like to see a sequel to this list? Let me know down in the comments. And of course, let me know what your favorite poi dance moves are. Be sure to take a break and get outside and flow today. I'll see you for a new combo tutorial on Friday, so take care. Peace.